All right, let's go on the record. There are two matters actually noticed for this morning. File 231826ON is a ordinance violation under the Colon Village Ordinance for dog at large, I believe it is. And then there is a petition in file 231425, Village of Colon versus Lorraine Harold Hershey. Mr. Hershey, if you'd come have a seat over here. Good morning, sir. Are you Lorraine Harold Hershey?
Yes, I am, sir.
You got a ticket from the Village of Colon Police Department alleging that on September 17th of 2023, you had an unsecured animal which bit someone, which is a civil infraction under the Colon Village Ordinance. I believe it's punishable by a fine of up to $500.
Yeah.
You are also subject to a petition in an order to show cause filed by Chief Brinkert. We've got some devices which can help you.
I got my hearing aid, but it's still not picking up.
All right, let's try this. Is that better?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. That's a new addition we've got, and it's been very helpful in several cases. All right, this is a petition regarding Mina, M-E-A-N-A, a 4-year-old brown and white female pit bull dog. Chief Mark Brinkert of the Village of Colon Police Department has petitioned to have this dog destroyed. He alleges the dog has attacked or bit a person. The dog has showed vicious habits or molested a person who was lawfully on the public roadway. The animal has caused a serious injury or death to several people. And the petition is to show cause why this animal should not be destroyed. Failure to appear could result in contempt, but you are here. There is an allegation that the dog bit 3 people, all of whom required medical treatment and attempted to bite another person. Chief Brinkert, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Hershey, would you please raise your right hand? You don't have to stand. You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
I do.
These animal cases are very difficult for a number of reasons, but they're very important. And in this case, the allegation is that on 4 different occasions, the dog bit someone or attempted to bite someone, just this from March till now. And in my experience, almost all of my cases of this variety have to do with pit bulls. For 40 years, I've had, well, not 40, we didn't have that many, for 25 years or more, 30 years, almost every case involves a pit bull. Chief Brinkert, what caused you to file this petition?
Well, we've had 4 incidents in the last 12 months. We've worn down, told down. I think they know they have a problem with the dog. It's just that it's not being contained properly. And I don't necessarily want the dog destroyed, but I'd like an order saying the dog has to be restrained so that nobody else gets hurt.
May I respond to that, sir?
Yeah, just a moment. I'll give you a chance to respond. In the petition that you filed, the first incident that you describe is from August 20th of 2022. And a young girl, Tiffany Morris, was chased by this dog and it almost bit her while she was riding her bike. Is that correct?
That is correct. Sergeant Burr handled that one.
According to the allegation, Mr. Hershey was walking the dog, but the dog overpowered him and got away from him.
No, it didn't.
All right, well, that's what's in the petition. Is that true?
I had her on a leash.
All right, we'll get back to that in a minute. But that's what your officer hear her reported?
Yes, sir.
And to his credit, he didn't treat it lightly. He did a report, he did the animal control. So you've got good procedures in place at Colon PT. All right, we'll hear from the defendant in a minute. The next incident was alleged to be March 26th of 2023.
Yes,
And in that case, a woman named Danielle Reed was actually bit by the dog.
yes.
What do you know about that one?
Well, I'm the one that responded to the initial complaint. She was walking down Abbott Street. The dog came out of nowhere, basically, and bit her. And she said the dog ran away. She didn't see where it went. So I went, took the initial report, took the photographs, and then several days later, she seen the dog at 560 Abbott Street.
All right, and she actually went to Three Rivers Hospital for treatment,
That is correct.
and you took a picture of her injury, which is pretty nasty. Is that the picture you took of her leg?
Yes,
All right. The next, and so did you have contact at that time with Mr. Hershey?
Officer Wertheimer was working that night, and he did have contact with the Hersheys. Said the dog needed to be quarantined for 10 days. And I believe he warned them that the dog needs to be contained.
All right, and that lady was bit pretty severely. That was March 26th. The next incident is alleged to be April 10th in the afternoon. And you learned that Mr. Alan Decker had been purchased or been bit by this dog in March.
Yes. In that case, Mr. Decker went over to the Hershey's house, I believe to give them a photo. The dog got past whoever opened up the door and bit Mr. Decker. He did not want it reported, but when he got treatment at the VA Medical Center, they had to file a report.
If I understand, the bite became infected and you need to get some pretty
Yes.
serious medical treatment at the VA hospital. And you have a picture of those injuries also. Is that correct?
Yes,
So that was March 31st, just 5 days after the March 26th incident. Then September 19th, there's another allegation that the dog bit an Angela Vanderstraten on Abbott Street. What do you know about that one?
that is true. She told Sergeant her and Officer Garcia that she was going there to pay her rent. She waited in the car for a little bit because she apparently has had problems with the dog before, but not documented. And when she went up to the door, again, the dog got past who opened up the door and bit her in the, I don't remember if it was lower leg or thigh, knee area, I'm sorry.
And she also got medical treatment?
Yeah, she went to Coldwater Hospital just in case of infection.
All right, so you have, are there any other incidents that you're aware of with this dog that weren't reported?
No,
All right. Mr. Hershey, you're also under oath. What do you want to tell me about this dog?
Well, the first incident you talked about, I had her on a leash and this girl come up from behind me on a fast bike and startled me. And I assumed that's what happened. It startled the dog and the dog chased her. But I had her on a leash. And the second one, my wife had her on a leash and she got away from her. And my wife talked the lady out on the street and took her home on that case. But the third and fourth cases, we realized that, so we had a ruling in our house that you don't open the door until you have the dog in the private room that we established. And my wife and we felt we had it under control because we had people come in the house and no problem. But this Sunday, we had a lot of family, and my 55-year-old son thinks he can handle it, so he didn't tell anybody to lock her up. And that's the reason the dog got away. It technically wasn't ours. It was our grandchild, but we kind of adopted it, and it's like a baby when we're in the house. But we do have things in place where the rule of the house, don't open the door until you have that dog in that locked room. And I guess that's all I have to say. Whatever happens, I'll not fight it. But we do have ground rules where the dog has to be put in the room if anybody comes in the driveway.
Why would you have a dog like that?
Well, my granddaughter bought it at a baby. She was determined to have a dog, and she got it. And then she moved away, and so we had it. It wasn't our intention to have a pit bull. But it came, later on, came to where it kind of grew on us.
Well, I've heard people say almost every time, this dog's a baby. This dog's a sweetheart around my family. And you can rub its belly and it cuddles, but then underneath all that, it's a pit bull and it's protecting its territory. They're sight driven. They chase things. They have very powerful jaws, very powerful muscular body, and they're dangerous. And this dog seriously bit 3 people, most recently, September 17th. And the gentleman that was treated at the VA hospital, his infection was so bad that VA called Colon PD and said this man was bit by a dog. So you obviously don't have adequate control over this dog. The dog is female?
Yes.
Do you have a fenced in yard?
She don't go out. She stays in the house.
Well, she has to go out at some point.
Well, yeah, we take her out in our backyard on the leash. We've never had any incidents with her.
Well, you had 4.
Well, that's because they come up, never mind.
Oh, go ahead. So let's say a UPS driver, when I've had this, the pit bull seriously bit a mail carrier. In fact, she was so traumatized, she retired. That dog had bit several people, but it bit a mail carrier. And mail carriers are particularly vulnerable. They come to the house in a uniform. They come at the same time every day. The dog barks and barks and barks at them, and then they leave. So the dog waits for the mail carrier to come in a uniform and then reacts and they leave. So the dog's protecting their property. In the mind of the dog, they don't understand the concept of mail delivery. They're just protecting the house from an invader that comes every day. So that's what this dog is doing. It's anyone comes to your house, a census taker, a campaign worker, a Girl Scout selling cookies. You've got this dangerous dog in the house. And apparently whatever you had in place wasn't adequate on September 17th.
No, he didn't follow the rule.
All right. So let's say you had a hand grenade that was attached to your front door. And if somebody opened the door, the hand grenade would blow up and kill the person. So you have an inherently dangerous thing at your house on your door. And the rule is you disconnect the hand grenade before you open the door. And one day somebody forgets to disconnect the hand grenade and they open the door and the person standing in the doorway gets killed. That's what this is. This is the equivalent of a hand grenade standing inside your front door that somebody has to disarm before you own the door. So it's not much comfort to the lady that got bit, who you say, well, he didn't follow the rule, so it's his fault. Not to mention, this medical treatment cost all these people money. Have you got any restitution requests from any of these people for their medical treatment?
No, Your Honor, I have not.
I went to my neighbor and asked, and he refused to take any.
Well, that's the guy that went to the VA, and he
Right.
said that basically he gets along with you and he didn't want to make a complaint. But his doctor was concerned enough that she called the police. Apparently the dog has had all of its shots and is licensed. Is it neutered?
No,
Why not?
cost too much money.
The problem is worse with male dogs that haven't been neutered than female dogs. But so tell me about your house at 560 Abbott Street.
What do you mean?
Is it a two-story house, a one-story house?
Ranch style
And the front door opens
from
up.
the driveway.
Who else lives there?
Well, there's the living room, and then
No, who else lives at your house?
that day I had my 55-year-old son and 50-year-old daughter, 5-year-old great granddaughter. I don't know if the mother
Well,
was,
who lives there every day?
my wife and I, Pauline.
And tell me about this room where the dog is secured. Where you say you have to put the dog in a locked room before you open
Right,
the door.
it's a glass door, extra 8x12 on the back end of the living room. Every time a person comes that we know of, my wife always put it back there and we lock the door.
Now, where is the dog now, Chief Brinker?
She's at their home.
She's been under quarantine since yesterday.
Chief Brinker, what are you asking me to do?
Resolve a problem. Is it possible to make an order that dog has to be confined, and put the responsibility on them to make sure that even their 55-year-old son is there, that dog has to be confined to avoid any further attacks. Nobody that we've talked to has said anything about, the dog should be put down, but we felt it was necessary to at least get it on record that we have an issue with this dog and it needs to be addressed.
Well, I don't disagree with that. There's often several options. Over the years, I've ordered people to put up a fence, to get a dog cage, to move the dog, take the dog out, which just transfers the problem somewhere else. Take it out of the city and give it a place in the country where it could be fenced in. And on a few occasions, I've ordered that the dog be killed.
Do you have a place for the dog to go?
We got it because she moved into an apartment, which is understandable why it wouldn't do it.
Many apartment complexes don't allow pit bulls.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
many home insurance policies don't cover it. Do you have coverage on your home insurance for this
Yeah.
dog?
In fact, the one lady filed it. The lady filed it to her auto owners.
The lady that was most recently bit? Uh,
Your
So,
Honor, all I can say is you do what you think best. All I know, that dog is a baby around us because she's in her bed and within 3 foot of us when it's just us two. So I'll obey whatever you decide.
well, I'm sure the dog is fine around just you two. It's protecting you and it's you're part of its pack. And so in that respect, it's probably a sweet dog. But every time this dog has to go outdoors, winter, summer, spring, fall, somebody has to take it outside on a leash. 2 o'clock in the morning, 7 a.m., 8 o'clock at night. Either you or your wife have to take the dog out. You're on a walker.
Right, my
So-
wife has been doing that 3 times a day for the since April.
Ms. Hershey, why don't you come up and have a seat? Would you please raise your right hand? You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief. Would you state your name?
Pauline Hershey.
All right, thank you. Go ahead and have a seat. Now, if we go back to the earliest incident, which was last August, being walked by an elderly owner, I assume that was Luane. And in that case, the young girl on the bike, it was Luane, and the dog bit the bike. He was there with the dog. The second incident, Danielle Reed, no one was with the dog. That was in March, on the 26th of March. The dog was unaccompanied at about 7:30 at night and bit this girl who was walking down Michigan Avenue. Chief Brinkert, how far is Michigan Avenue from Abbott Street where they live?
Probably what, 2 blocks or a block. It's pretty close.
But there was no one accompanying the dog. She said it came out of the south and bit her and then took off. So on that occasion, no one was accompanying the dog. Do you recall what happened that day?
Yeah, I did not see her because normally I would look on both ways, to make sure there was no other dogs coming down the road. And because I was gonna take her for a walk, and I would walk her from one end of the block to the other and then back. And that day I did not see that girl. She came out of nowhere. The dog took off. I fell on the ground and I got up and I took off after the dog and put her back on the leash. And then she stood there.
So did the dog break the leash or got off of, was the leash in your hand or was the dog
It
dragging
was
the
in
leash?
my hand.
Right, how did the dog get off the leash?
Well, when I fell, my hand popped open.
Okay, and so was the dog dragging the leash with her?
Yeah,
All right, so the leash didn't become disconnected from the dog's collar.
no.
All right. What's to say that isn't gonna happen again? Every
I
time you
don't-
walk the dog?
I don't take them out front. First time she was put on quarantine, I started taking her out to the backyard. And that dog knows that she's not allowed out front.
No, it doesn't. If your dog is in the backyard and it sees somebody walk by or another dog, that dog's gonna take off like a dart.
She hasn't though, Your Honor.
All right, well, we're fortunate. So in that one, the dog was unaccompanied, but according to you, it got away from you. She went, is that the lady that's filed the complaint with your insurance company?
Mhm.
Has that been resolved? Has the insurance company paid a claim?
I think so.
We don't know. We just turned it in.
We turn it in, and if we get another one, we turn it in, and we haven't heard anything.
Well, at some point, your insurance company is gonna cancel this coverage. If they knew the dog had bit two more people after it bit this lady, they would revoke your homeowners, at least this portion of it. So, all right, that was March 26th. And then she identified the dog. The next incident was just a few days later on March 31st. That was Mr. Elkins. What do you remember about that? No, not Mr. Elkins, Mr. Decker. How he happened to come to your house.
He came over to give us something,
He said some photographs.
yeah. And after that, we kept, close tabs on him because we knew how to get a hold of him. And after that, we started, if we don't put the dog in the room, we go out the back door to see the garage and talk to people. And that's what they knew we were doing. They waited for the garage door to open and then they would come up to the house.
And apparently he was pretty seriously, the pictures are bad. And the treatment, he had to go to the VA and be treated for an infection. Then the most recent one was the 17th of September. And the girl had come to pay her rent. You guys have some rental properties?
No, it's not a rent. She's got a land contract with me.
All right, and so she was coming to make her land contract payment?
Right,
Is that the only one that you have?
yes.
Now, she was aware of
Yeah,
this dangerous dog.
but for 2 or 3 months, we text back and forth, text me when you're coming over. Well, the last 2 times she didn't do it, she come up all of a sudden. And that kind of threw things in a wrinkle.
I do respect that you said, I'll abide by whatever you rule, but you don't seem to completely understand the gravity of this. You have this dog that is powerful, that you can't control very well, and has seriously bit 3 people. Seems like to bite them in the legs, all of which required hospital care, medical care. The other girl, it frightened her because the dog was more powerful than you were. On at least 2 occasions, the dog got away from you outdoors. On the other 2 occasions, legitimate visitors to your house were attacked by your dog when the door was opened. It's like, oh, well, we'll turn it over to our homeowner's insurance. You'd feel differently if it bit your granddaughter. So you own a dangerous dog that you're not adequately able to care for. I don't know what neutering a female dog does to their disposition, as well as the experience I have with male dogs. And so we're looking for a solution that will protect the people in the village of Colon. And Chief Brinkert's concern is the safety of the people in Colon. What would certainly protect the people in Colon would be having the dog put down. And Chief Brinkert's not necessarily asking for that. I'm looking for an intermediate solution, but I'm not sure you can provide it. The dog got away from you, Mr. Hershey. It got away from you, Mrs. Hershey. It got out your door twice. And now you live in this house where you have to secure the house, go out the back door, lock the dog up before you ever open the door to go in and out. If you go out to get the mail, if you go out to take a walk yourself, you can't walk the dog down the public street in Colon because you can't control it sufficiently to protect any other person in Colon is walking down the street. You don't really have a very good plan. What is the plan? Do you have a long-term plan for what happens to this dog?
We kind of thought had it under control, but apparently.
Well, all right, so what happens if a census taker comes to your house tomorrow?
Well, it goes locked up. Nobody comes to the door now. We don't let anybody in unless we have the dog in the room.
Do you have a beware of dog sign?
No. I can, but
Chief Brinker, you've been to this house?
Yes, sir.
How big is the yard?
It's a large lot. Front and back. It sits quite a ways off the front of
yeah, it's
the roadway.
Let's see if I can see it.
really, the house protects them from seeing to the road. That's why we don't have issues in the back.
Here it is. So you have a garage to the right of your front door.
Right.
Does the dog go in the garage?
Only to go out the back.
All right, so you take the dog through the garage to go out to the backyard.
Correct.
And so right now, you're only taking the dog outside in the backyard.
Right. Once in a while, I'll put her on the lead, run the other dog on the lead in front. And,
Oh, there's another dog?
yeah, there's another
All right,
dog.
what's the other dog?
Oh. Small, what's it called?
Kind of a shepherd.
It's a real small dog. I can't think of the name of it now.
Have you had any trouble with that dog?
No,
She likes to bark.
but she's friendly.
All right. Chief Brinker, anything else you'd like me to know?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. Hershey, anything else you'd like me to know?
No.
All right, regarding the show call, I mean, the ticket for a dog at large. Look at what the actual ticket says. There's two things. One, you got a ticket for the dog biting this man. And the other one is the petition to have the dog destroyed or otherwise restrained. The ticket is file number 231824. It is a civil infraction. It's alleged that on or about September 17th, you allowed your dog to bite someone and it carries a fine only. How do you plead to that charge?
I guess I not are guilty. Go ahead.
All right, we
I
heard
have
this.
no objection.
All right. Fine and cost is $100, which goes to the village. That's due in 30 days. We'll make that due by October 31st. Here's an envelope regarding the fine. You can pay it by certified check or money order if you put a stamp on it, personal check, credit card, which are instructions, or use green cash. Chief Brinker, would you give that to them? Regarding the order to show cause, which is 231425GZ, going to continue this, but I'm going to order a couple of things. I'm going to order that you get a beware of dog sign. posted on the front of your house. I want to confirm that you have homeowners insurance that will cover dog liability. You're not to walk the dog on the public streets in Colon. Because you can take it out in the country and walk it somewhere, but not in the village of Colon. And we'll review this matter on Thursday, December 14th. At 10 a.m. So when you come back on December 14th, I want to see a picture of a beware of dog sign. I want to see your homeowner's insurance that shows you have liability coverage for this dog. And I want to make sure that there isn't any other problem between now and then. I can tell you assuredly, if the dog bites somebody else, I'm going to have it put down. Even if it bites one of you. All right. That's the intermediate solution. I really, really, really hope, my fear is I'm gonna do one of these one day and something terrible is gonna happen. We've had a couple of cases where a pit bull killed somebody. Had several cases where a pit bull has killed another dog. I have a terrible, terrible case where a lady got a rescue dog of a Doberman, and on her first day of owning it, it killed her daughter. I have another case pending right now where a lady was.
Case of pit bulls, does it, dog shelters take them or not?
They might, so you may also explore other, taking the dog to a shelter or giving it to someone.
All right.
I'm not ordering it, but if you
I
do that,
understand.
if you have the dog given to a shelter or given to someone that's got a more secure facility, that petition can be dismissed. And we'll discuss that further on December 14th. Imagine how you will feel if somebody else opens your door and the dog kills a neighbor girl. Or anyway, I've seen it. All right, so beware of dog sign, proof that you have homeowners insurance to cover the liability. You're not to walk the dog on the public streets in Colon. And if you give the dog to a shelter or otherwise have it removed from the village, that petition could be dismissed. Do you have any questions?
No, I was trying to figure, I hate putting them down, but if I don't mind giving them away.
All right, well, you can pursue that. I don't like putting them down either. People's dogs, as dangerous as this dog to other people, it's a part of your family. You're with this dog all day, every day, and it's like a member of your family.
Right.
Even the meanest dog to anybody else is a puppy to the owners. So I'm cognizant of the fact that you love this dog and the dog loves you, but I also have to be conscious of public safety. So you can pursue that. And if you can find somebody to give it a good home out in the country with a fenced in yard, maybe that's the best solution. Or they have animal rescues and they have some that specify in pit bulls. There's a strong movement of people that think that pit bulls are unfairly vilified or condemned by people like me. All I'm telling you is I got 40 years of experience, of negative experience with pit bulls for the reasons I said. They're powerful, they're sight driven, they're protective of their property. I've had them kill donkeys, dogs, llamas, cows, and bite dozens of people. So my bias against pit bulls is earned. All right, let's hope nothing bad happens. Let's review this again on December 14th. You'll get a new notice. And Chief Brinkert, obviously, if anything happens in the meantime, you can petition for an earlier hearing.
Yeah, I will, sir.
All right. All right, well, that completes this record. We're good to go.